Hey, what's up, nerds? It's me, MTG Man, and yes, we're back. More Kitchen Table Showdown. I know y'all want Commander, y'all want Bloomborough spoilers, but personally, I've just been enjoying this a lot more. I like building around janky cards. I like making things a lot more simple, not having to worry about, oh, my sacrifice deck needs this new card from this new set, and if I don't need it, it's just it's tiring, I guess, to a sense. So I'm just making some old school decks. This is how I used to play at like summer camp with my dad, all that. But anywho, all these decks are under 20 bucks. They're meant to play against each other, so they have some like interactions, whatever. But let's just begin, all right? So first up, we have Burn Sliver. So Burn Sliver takes the Sliver game plan, and instead of swinging in with a board of big slivers or slivers with a whole bunch of abilities, we try and burn the opponents out with slivers. So it uses Blade Back Sliver to give all of our slivers basically a pinging ability. Lava Belly Sliver will have them ping when they enter. Leeching Sliver has them ping when they attack. Metallic Sliver is just a cheap one you can put all the abilities on. And Spiteful Sliver is going to have them hit back for whatever damage they take, which makes them a lot stronger blockers. Wizard's Rockets for draw, Lightning Bolt for removal and as a burn spell, Mana Tithe as a counter spell, one with nothing to turn on the Blade Back Sliver effect, another round to exile all your slivers in order to get them to re-trigger with Lava Belly Sliver. Pact of the Serpent as a 3-mana draw 3, draw 4, whatever. And Here's Resolve because it can exile any number of creatures and have them re-enter. So since it also gives them haste, you can have a big turn, like let's say you have 5 slivers, right? So your 5 slivers all tap for Blade Back Sliver, right? So they deal 5 damage to the opponent. Then you exile them, have them come back with Nahiri's Resolve. Because they entered, they would each trigger with Lava Belly Sliver, dealing another 5 damage. And then because they have haste, they can Blade Back Sliver again to deal another 5 damage. This is all about explosive turns and possibly going off with slivers. So definitely wouldn't keep a hand like this. This is more what we're looking for. We're going to get rid of Nahiri's Resolve. We are going to play a turn 1 Plains into a Wizard's Rockets tapped. Wizard's Rockets just helps with deck consistency. It's kind of like a chromatic star, and it also allows some of the other decks to interact with it, since other decks need your opponent to have an artifact, your opponent to do this, whatever. Go to turn 2. We are going to run out a... Actually, first, we're going to sacrifice Wizard's Rockets for white to draw a card. We're going to play a Swamp. Then we're going to play Leeching Sliver, move to turn 3. I think what we want to do is Wizard's Rockets enters tapped. We're going to play an Evolving Wilds. We're going to search for, I think, a second black source in case we get to Pact of the Serpent. We're going to move that to the battlefield. We're going to shuffle. So Swamp enters tapped. We'll Mana Tithe something on our opponent's turn, move to turn 4. We're going to play a Mountain. We are going to Wizard's Rockets for black, draw a card, run out Blade Back Sliver, swing for 1, we'll be able to deal 1, and then they also lose a life. Go to turn 5. So here we can, I guess, Mana Tithe something, Lightning Bolt something, and then 1 with nothing. It doesn't even matter, but we'll be able to ping for 2. Lightning Bolt something, ping for 2. Put a Plains down for turn, ping for 2. Play another Blade Back Sliver, ping for 2. Play another Blade Back Sliver, ping for 3. And that's basically how the deck works. You just want to hold out until you can just keep pinging them with your slivers, until you can deal damage with Leeching Sliver, until you can block your opponent's shit and make them take damage with Spiteful Sliver. It's a twist on the Sliver game plan, but also pretty simple. Next up is Draw Mill. So Draw Mill uses all of those Teferi's Tutelage, Sphinx Tutelage, and Jace's Erasure type cards that whenever you draw, an opponent's going to mill one, along with strong draw sources like Hatching Plans, Cathartic Reunion, Breakthrough, Brain Surge, and Brainstorm, along with Academy Wall to block and get more card draw triggers. In order to just mill your opponent out as fast as possible, hopefully. It also uses Torch the Tower and Ice Out as ways to sacrifice the hatching plans, and Mystic Sanctuary as a land in order to help you get back your instants and sorceries. Pretty simple game plan. We would mulligan this hand. We are going to put... we're going to put Jace's Erasure to the bottom. So we play the island. We would go to turn 2, play a mountain. We're going to run out Jace's Erasure, so on our next turn we draw. They mill 1 because of Jace's Erasure. We play an island. We are going to play a Sphinx's Tutelage. When we draw, they are going to mill 2, and then if they share a color, they get to repeat that, and then they're going to mill 1 from Jace's Erasure. We will play a Mystic Sanctuary for... since we only have 2 island entries tapped, we are going to run out Academy Wall because we need to block it. Mystic Sanctuary will be untapped. Play another Sphinx's Tutelage. So basically, at the beginning of our, whenever we draw, they'll mill 5 cards, and if 2 share a color from if 2 of them share a color for Sphinx's Tutelage, they'll keep milling, whatever. So here we would Torch the Tower, draw a card from Academy Wall. They'll mill 5 again. We're going to discard. We're going to play a Teferi's Tutelage, which lets us just draw and discard. And then they've milled 15 so far this turn. You just want to keep milling, keep running them through their deck until they have no options, and then you theoretically win. Next up is Evolution, which is a generally pretty simple deck. Alright, so it uses things like Brindlestote, Dissenter, Dragon Egg, Thrynax, and Tuk Tuk. Basically, when they die, they get something better on the board, and then cards like Brotherhood's End and Anger of the Gods in order to wipe the board, hopefully kill all your opponent's stuff, and then they'll have nothing on their board while you'll have a board of kind of okay attackers. It uses Golgari Germination along with Gnawing Crescendo in order to get more tokens on the board, Wizard's Rockets and Cathartic Pyre in order to draw, along with Bitter Reunion, which can help with your draw game, and also gives your creatures haste, which is going to be really helpful when, oh look, I cleared my opponent's board, I've got 10 tokens to attack with, might as well give them haste. Lightning Bolt and Nature's Claim are removal, and then it plays a pretty basic land base along with Quicksand as another way to remove cards. Let's see. A test game, we're going to keep this. We're going to turn 1 Wizard's Rockets, we're going to turn 2 play a Mountain, we're going to tap it for black to draw a card, to bring out Doom Dissenter. Move to turn 3. We're going to play another Mountain. Now, here's the tough part in this hand, I guess. We could Anger the Gods to wipe our opponent's board and create a 2/2 zombie, which I think is going to be our best choice. We'll just pretend there's a 2/2 zombie. We are going to play another Mountain. We could Brotherhood's End if we need to get rid of their artifacts, whatever. And is that... how many mountains are in this deck? There's 7 mountains in the deck. I don't know how we just happened to draw 5 out of 7. But that's the basic game plan. Clear the board, come back with a board of even stronger attackers, and then theoretically swing in for game. Next up is Food, like the MF Doom album. So it uses Azmoran and Mordecai to stun a Koldakar to create foods with the Underworld Cookbook. A combo with the Underworld Cookbook is discarding Oval Chase Daredevil, which when you create that food, it counts as an artifact entering, so it'll come back to your hand. So you have 1 free food each turn. Peregrine Took is going to let you draw with those foods and help you create extras, along with Feasting Troll King and Giant Opportunity to help you swing in. You basically just want to get them in your graveyard as fast as possible, create those foods, and then win the game with swinging in with big attackers. In order to get Azmoran and Mordecai to send a Koldakar out, we have Street Wraith to cycle, along with cycling lands, and then the deck also plays Wizard's Rockets for consistency, Abundant Harvest as a good way to get things that you need, Sign in Blood in order to draw, and yeah, that's the basic game plan. Gingerbread Cabin and Restless Cottage are another way to get more foods onto the battlefield, but you basically just want to run things out as fast as possible, possibly cheat things in, and yeah. So, starting off, I don't think we keep this hand. Sure? Yeah, we do keep this hand. Why not? Baron Moore enters tapped, pass to turn 2. We are going to play a Baron Moore tapped. We're going to play Wizard Rockets, enters tapped. We're going to move to turn 3. So, personally, I think I would Wizard's Rockets, searching for we're adding green, play Abundant Harvest, go for land, so it'll put a land in our hand. Tranquil Thicket will play, enters tapped. Cycle Street Wraith for 2 life to draw a card. I think at this point we would just run out an Underworld Cookbook early. Play a Swamp for turn. A Giant Opportunity to create 3 food tokens. Underworld Cookbook, discard Oval Chase Daredevil, create a food, bring it back. So we're at 4 food. What we should have done, actually, is when we played it last turn, we should have Oval Chased turn 3, brought it back, Oval Chased again, and then Giant Opportunity would have created a 7/7 Giant. So we're just going to say we have a 7/7 Giant instead of 3 foods. Then we move to turn 5. We're going to play a Swamp. We're going to Sign in Blood to draw 2 cards. We'll swing in with our 7/7 Giant. We will play another Underworld Cookbook. So now we can Underworld Cookbook, create a food, brings back to hand. Underworld Cookbook, create a food. So we're creating 2 foods per turn. At this rate, when we get our next Giant Opportunity, we'll be able to create another 7/7. If we can get Feasting Troll King into the graveyard, we'll be able to get, I think, a 7/6. And then basically you just keep swinging with your 7/7s, keep creating more food, and just accrue a whole bunch of value as you build a board of big beaters. Pretty simple, pretty concise, and yeah. Next up is Magna Cum Laude. A Magna Cum Laude is a high achieving student. So if that's a smart student, this is a smart combo red deck. So it uses a combo with Magda, Brazen Outlaw, Universal Automaton, and Clock of Omens. Basically, if you have Clock of Omens if you have all 3 out, you activate Clock of Omens ability by tapping itself and Universal Automaton, and then you untap target artifact choosing Universal Automaton. Since Automaton counts as a dwarf for Magda, you'll create a treasure token, and then you activate the ability again by tapping the treasure token and Automaton to create another treasure, or to untap itself to create another treasure, and you just keep going, creating infinite treasures. And then with those infinite treasures entering, you either win with Reckless Fireweaver, put infinite counters on Dragon Spark Reactor to win, and yeah, it's a pretty basic game plan, but it's an advanced-ish 4-card combo, 3-card combo, whatever. Dragon's Rockets for draw, Cathartic Pyre for draw and removal, Lightning Strike because we couldn't afford another Cathartic Pyre, Cathartic Reunion for draw, Faithless Looting for draw, Reckless Handling to get your combo pieces in hand. Overall, pretty simple game plan, pretty concise, knows what it wants to do, and yeah. So, here, I don't think we keep this hand. We have 2 pieces, but I don't think that's enough. I think we keep this. We will put a Cathartic Pyre to the bottom. We're going to Faithless Looting, draw 2 cards. We are going to discard a Mountain and a Reckless Fireweaver. We're going to play a Magda. We are going to go to turn 3. We are going to Wizard's Rockets enters tapped. Universal Automaton. We're going to play a Mountain for turn. We're going to sacrifice Wizard's Rockets for 0. Draw a card. We're going to move to turn 5. We are going to play a Mountain. We're going to play Clock of Omens. So we will tap these 2 to untap this, creating a treasure with Magda. Tap the treasure, tap Automaton, activating Clock of Omens to untap Automaton. Keep creating infinite treasures. At this point, sure, we're not winning, but now we have infinite mana from now on. Go to turn 6, play a Mountain. Don't play a Mountain. Play a Cathartic Reunion. Draw 3, discard 2. Draw 3 cards. Go for Wizard's Rockets, which will enter tapped. Use some of our infinite mana to play Reckless Handling. We are going to search for a Dragon Spark Reactor. Technically, we could have waited on the Wizard's Rockets, so I'm just going to flip this and flip this. how reckless handling work is you search for an artifact, then discard a card. I have my eyes closed. I don't know which is which. Discard the card at random. So we're going to get rid of this one, which was our Dragon Spark Reactor. If you discard an artifact, it then deals 2 damage to the opponent, so that's fine. We're going to move to turn 7. We're going to sacrifice Wizard's Rockets to draw a card. We're going to play a Mountain. We're going to play a Universal Automaton. We're going to play the Reckless Fireweaver. And now we're just going to start doing that whole infinite treasure token thing again. This, infinite treasure tokens. And each treasure token is going to burn for 1 from Reckless Fireweaver, and that's how the deck wins. Theoretically, you won't be drawing into so many mountains. That's just a funny, that's just, I guess it happens, every deck is as consistent as it is, and hopefully, if you build any of these, you can make them more consistent. Next up is Cocaine. Cocaine is a Vice, some people say, and Cocaine is white, and this is a mono-white Black Vice deck. So it uses cards like Black Vice, Viceling, and Ebony Owl Nitsuke to burn your opponent out as their hand is full, and then it uses cards like Your Temple's Under Attack, a Secret Rendezvous, Fall of the First Civilization, and Flump to keep their hand full, and then cards like Phyrexian Censor and Rule of Law so that they can't be casting spells. Basically, you keep their hand full, and as long as they have 7 cards in hand, they just keep getting burned with Ebony Owl Nitsuke. As long as they have over 4, they just keep getting burned with Black Vice, and that's basically how you win. Pretty simple. Also plays Disenchant for removal, and Roadside Reliquary, since the deck plays both artifacts and enchantments. But yeah, so this is a hand you want to keep. That's an absolute keeper hand. We're going to go turn 1, play Black Vice. We're going to say we went first. So on their turn, since they have 7 in hand, they're going to lose 3 life from Black Vice. We go to turn 2. We are going to, I think, play a Black Vice and a Wizard's Rockets here instead of the Ebony Owl. We're going to sacrifice Wizard's Rockets for a white, draw a card, play a Plains for turn, use that floating white and the Plains to play Ebony Owl Nitsuke. Go to turn 4. We're going to Secret Rendezvous, so the opponent draws 3 and we draw 3. Hopefully on their turn they're at 7, so that they'll lose 4 from Ebony Owl, 3 from Black Vice, and 3 from Black Vice. Go to our next turn. We are going to play Rule of Law, so that they can't cast more than 1 spell. Go to turn 6. We're going to play Roadside Reliquary. We are going to Your Temple is Under Attack, so that they draw 2 and we draw 2. Then we're going to play Your Temple is Under Attack, so that they draw 2 and we draw 2. And then as long as they have 7 or more cards in hand, they're then going to lose 4, lose 3, lose 3, and then that's 10 damage to close off the game. Pretty simple game plan. Definitely an interesting sort of deck. I haven't really seen any white Black Vice decks floating around, so yeah. Next up is Handful of Nothing. So this deck uses cards like Squadron Hawk, Legion Conquistador, Gathering Throng, and Battalion Foot Soldier. Basically, you play one of them and you put 3 to hand. You want to keep your hand full at all times in order to get a powered up Kiyomaru, or to gain life off of Ivory Tower, or to bump up your creatures with Imperial Armor. The deck also plays Angelic Gift to help your Imperial Armor creature get in, along with Swords to Plowshares in order for removal, Sajir Shelter in order to protect your pieces, and Thought Vessel to give you an infinite hand size. Witch Enchanters also removal. But yeah, so it's a mono-white hand size matters deck, which hand size matters is usually a blue type thing. So we keep a hand like this. I think we want to go in for Ivory Tower. So during our next upkeep, we'll gain 1 life from Ivory Tower. We're going to play a Sajir Shelter tapped. Sorry, not tapped, flipped. Go to turn 3. We would gain another life from Ivory Tower. We play a Plains. We play Gathering Throng, so we get to search our library for 3 more copies of Gathering Throng. Put them to our hand. Move to hand. Shuffle. At this point, we want to end the turn. Go to turn 4. We would gain 3 life off of Ivory Tower. We will play a Plains for turn. We are going to play a Thought Vessel. I think We would tap the Thought Vessel, run out Legion Conquistador, search our library for 3 Conquistadors. Where are they? 1, 2, 3. We move 3 Conquistadors to hand. We shuffle. Now we have 8 cards in hand, but because of Thought Vessel, we won't have to worry about discarding. So on our next upkeep, we gain 4 life from Ivory Tower. We can either play Kiyomaru, who's going to be a 8/8 with Vigilance, and whenever it attacks, whenever it deals damage, we gain 7 life. So it's going to keep our livelihood around, gives us a blocker. And then at this point, we don't even have to play more cards, right? If we get a Squadron Hawk or we get a Battalion Foot Soldier, we'll play them to get more cards to hand. But at this point, we have Kiyomaru in order to swing in. We have Ivory Tower to keep our life full. We could play Gift or Angelic Gift here in order to draw a card. We could put an Angelic Gift on Gathering Throng in order to draw another card. But basically, we just keep our hand full, keep our life full, and hopefully swing in with Kiyomaru over time. And yeah, the handful of nothing, like literally, Battalion Foot Soldier is a 3-mana 2/2. This is a 3-mana 3/1. These aren't cards you want to have in your hand. It's literal garbage most of the time, right? Your hand is full of nothing to play, but it doesn't matter because it's more of a synergy-based deck than, these cards are actually good. Next up is Government, and Government is a tax, white-black, Bernie type of thing. So you want to tax your opponents with cards like Painful Quandary, Trespasser's Curse, and Kambal, so that whenever they play things, they lose life. We use Skyclave Apparition and just Skyclave as removal, Mana Tithe to stop their spells, Duress to pick through their hand, Sign in Blood for draw, Rule of Law to stop them from casting spells, along with Tithe Taker and Tax Collector to tax them, and Strict Proctor to stop their ETBs, and Talia to tax them even more. It's a very simple, and Wizard's Rockets for draw. It's a very simple wear through your opponent until they literally can't play anything sort of deck. Very annoying, very government-y. So here we're going to go Plains. Wizard's Rockets enters tapped. We are going to go for a Swamp. We're going to play a Strict Proctor, sacking that to draw a card. We're going to go to turn 3. We are going to run out Talia, Guardian of Thraben, so non-creature spells cost 1 more. Go to turn 4. We are going to Trespasser's Curse, so whenever they play a creature, they're going to lose a life. We are going to probably swing in. I believe Strict Proctor has flying, so it's just another solid beater. I guess we would want to run out Tax Collector. So their spells are going to cost 1 less, and then their non-creature spells are going to cost 1 less because of Talia. So we're just going to make it harder and harder for them to cast things. Play Rule of Law so that they can only cast 1 spell per turn. And then at this point, we're basically just slowing down the game as much as possible, mana tithing whatever spell they cast. We could play Wizard Rockets to draw on next turn. And it's just an annoying deck to slow down the opponent while either burning them out or attacking in with like Strict Proctor, Skyclave Apparition, basically a whole bunch of little things to beat in your opponent with. Very annoying, very simple, very satisfying, I guess. Not really. Just sounds like a slow, boring game, but if that's what you're into, I'm not going to say shit. Next up is America. I know what you're saying. This isn't red, white, and blue. No, it's an oil deck. What's more American than oil? So it uses these small creatures like Fuseling, Adaptive, Scrap Gorger, and Myglaws that are relatively cheap to hit the field, but the more oil they have, the bigger they're going to get. So hopefully you can swing in fast. You can refill your hand with Vindictive Flame Stoker. You can put more oil counters on your shit with Magmatic Sprinter. Put more oil counters with Churning Reservoir. Bring in big tokens with Urbrass Forge. And then just bump them up more oil with Free from Flesh. Lightning Bolt and Nature's Claim for removal. Faithless Looting for draw. Stomp for basically a land and removal. and then forests, mountains, and the monumental facade to add more oil. Basically, it's a classic red-green stompy deck using oil counters to make your creatures big. As much as I really want to keep this hand, we have no red source, so we're kind of fucked. As much as I want to keep this hand, we don't have a green source, so we're kind of fucked. So I think we would keep this. We're going to discard a mountain and a reservoir. We are going to play a reservoir turn 1. We are going to play a scrap gorger turn 2. Yep. Go to turn 3. We will play the monumental facade. We'll use 1 to put. Basically, it's going to put an oil counter on something every upkeep. So we'll put it on here. When it has 3 or more, it'll become a 3/3. But either way, we're going to go for My Gloss. We are going to tap, remove an oil counter from it to put it on scrap. Go to turn 4. Play a mountain. We're going to tap to put a last counter on Scrap Gorger so that it is a 3/3. We are going to play Evolving Adaptive. We are going to swing in for 6. Sorry, not 6. 7. We're going to swing in for 7. We're going to play the Monumental Facade. We removed. Okay. We're going to remove an oil counter to make this into a 2/2. Swing in for 2. Actually, we'll put a turning reservoir counter on adaptive. Then we'll put this on it. Make it a 3/3, 3, 6, 10 more damage. And then play another adaptive. Use another counter. Put another counter. So it's going to be 5, 8, 12 more damage. And then you just basically swing in as fast as you can to win. Overall, very simple. Very stompy. The kind of deck that only would work if you're playing in a lower power metagame. Next up is Forg. This is a frog kind of. It's a self-mill frog deck that lets you cast spells that you self-mill with Grolnok. This is for, like, the girl I'm dating said she would learn to play Magic if I taught her. And she really likes frogs, so this is the deck I put together because I think she would enjoy it. So Froghemoth is a big, stompy frog. Jade Avenger, Poison Dart Frog, and Spore Frog are going to be small enough to swing in and have either utility abilities, are a mana dork, or just a pretty solid attacker. So we're going to be triggering that self-mill ability, playing cards from exile with Croak counters, and then hopefully when we have no cards, we get to win with Laboratory Maniac. Nature's Claim is removal. Polymorphous Jest, partially because it's cute, and partially because it can just take your opponent out of the game for a turn. Thought Scour for more self-mill. Incubation to get creatures in hand and is removal. Tome Scour to self-mill. Frogify is removal, and then Forests, Islands, and Vine Glimmer Snarl. Pretty simple deck plan. You just want to self-mill and theoretically win through that. So we're going to Vine Glimmer Snarl. We're going to Thought Scour ourselves to mill 2, and then draw a card. Go to turn 2. We're going to play a Jade Avenger. We're going to go to turn 3. We are going to Tome Scour ourselves. Sure, we're not getting value off of this, but we're just trying to get our deck as low as possible. We're going to go swing in with Jade Avenger. We're going to play a Froghemoth for turn. So when it deals combat damage, exile, and theoretically it gets bigger and we gain life. We're going to swing in for 6 so far. Yep. And then go to next turn. I think here we would just run out another Froghemoth. Swing. And yeah, even if the deck wants to self-mill, it's got solid attackers that it can just swing in for games with, so it's not really too worried about that game plan. See here, we haven't really gotten a Grolnak. We milled over our only one, but we have Froghemoths on the board, we have Jade Avenger, and even Poison Dart Frog can be a good blocker, especially since you can give it Death Touch. We'll Frogify something. We'll go to turn 9, we'll play a Vine Glimmer Snarl, we just keep swinging in, and eventually we'll win. Overall, pretty simple, but I thought it was a good way to introduce her to the game. It's got the big beat sticks. It's got the, drawing cards is good type cards. It's got, I think spore frog and like fog type effects are really important to teach newcomers. Laboratory Maniac as an alternate win con to just introduce her to the idea of milling isn't always a bad thing. Jade Avenger as just a classic beater. Poison Dart Frog as a mana dork. Basically just trying to introduce different concepts all at once without it becoming like overwhelming or anything. Because like if you give somebody a burn deck, all they'll know is burn, right? If you give somebody a stompy deck, all they'll know is stompy. So I'm trying to give her like a good mid-range type thing. And yeah, last up, Getting the Robot is a Esper vehicle deck. So you use things like Grease Fang in order to get back bigger vehicles like Parhelion 2 from your graveyard. You pilot them with Grease Fang, Hotshot Mechanic, and Katori for value. You get to draw cards off of them with SRAM. And then we have other vehicles like Mobilizer Mech, Prodigy's Prototype, and Surge Hacker Mech, which also doubles as removal. Counterspell as a counterspell. Dark Blast as removal and to help get things in the graveyard with Dredge. Path to Exile's removal. Thought Scour to help you get things in the graveyard and as a draw card. Sign in Blood for draw. Born to Drive to help pump up your creatures as like an alternate win con as well. Islands, Mech Hanger in order to help you cast your mechs. Plains, and Swamp. Overall, the deck is... I don't know what the fuck just happened. Okay. The deck is pretty simple, but it can definitely pull off wins, so I think we want a mulligan here. We don't have the colors we need. I think we would put... No, we don't even have 2 blue, so no point in keeping Counterspell. We're going to Thought Scour, mill 2 cards, go to turn 2. We are going to play a Mobilizer Mech. Can't do much with it now. We're going to play a Thought Scour for turn, mill 2, draw a card. We are going to play a Swamp. We will Dark Blast something so that if we need to, we can start milling to hopefully get Parhelion. Mech Hanger for turn, Prodigy's Prototype. I swear to God, these decks, like, will run consistently when I'm making them, but then, as soon as I put on, like, the camera, as soon as I turn on the video, we get no land hands, we get 1 land hands, we get all land hands, like, it's never consistent as soon as I try and make a video, which is funny, because it makes me look stupid, but, it's whatever. Overall, very simple deck. I think definitely you could switch out Dark Blast, for some sort of, like a way to discard things from hand, because you definitely want to be able to get Parhelion into the graveyard. Definitely, you just want more options, I guess. But that's it. That's Kitchen Table Showdown decks. We're at 31 so far. I have a couple I've been working on. I've got this Spell Slinger, Aria Flame one. I have this Kaya Exile one, Thunderous Debut, which is going to play fucking King Kong and Godzilla, a Varmint deck, Dinosaurs, Devoted Druid combo. I have, like, there's just some cards I want to work into decks, Umezawa, Archfiend of the Dross Trade, Modular, Monument to Perfection, a Dragon's Herald deck that cheats it in, Flame Burst, Glaze Fiend, Arbor Elves, a Rowan Scion of War deck, Soldiers, like a High Alert, Assault Mode, Assault Siege, whatever, Slivers, Mount deck, Domain, Pauper Goblin combo, Blink, Illusion aggro, because I wanted to port over some of the Pauper decks I made, Reanimator, Skeletons, Outlaw Aristocrats. So, like, let me know if there's any decks in particular. Dark Supplicant, cheating in Scion of Darkness, whatever. Like, tell me what kind of decks you think are interesting, and don't just be like, oh, I think white-black control is interesting. I'm trying to build around cards here. I'm trying to like build around strategies. Sure, this deck might just seem like a slow deck, but I literally saw a card named Tax Collector and said I'm making a Tax Collector tax deck. That was my motivation, right? It's all about playing with interesting cards. Who the fuck is playing Gold Warden's Gambit, right? Who the fuck is building a budget creativity deck because, it's too expensive? Who's playing Black-Red Minotaurs, but it's not just bring out Minotaurs and win, it's get Death Bellow in the graveyard and then Mizik's Mastery to cheat it in and win the game with that, right? Who's playing a Desert Burn deck, right? It's basically just finding interesting cards, building around interesting ideas, and then theoretically just, I don't know, I'm going to build some of these like IRL. I'm going to bring them to my LGS to see if people will play with me, because Magic's lost some of its like magic for me, I guess. I mean, I have a huge collection. I've been playing for however many years. But I'm just kind of sick of always having to keep up to date, and I just want to build some fun decks with fun concepts that can face each other and don't really have to worry about there being some, oh, well, your deck is only $100, so